Welcome to Into the Woods, a journey with the tarot. Here, we wander together into the woods to explore ourselves, the world around us, and the mysteries and joys of life through the tarot. I'm your host, Mari, a professional tarot reader and a musician. Grab your deck, and off we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Into the Woods. Today's episode is sort of interesting because it came to me through some channeled writing the other night. I had an interesting experience, which I'm going to talk to you about. And after my kids went down, I was just overtaken by the urge to sit down and write about it. That's pretty rare for me. I don't do a lot of writing. I write a lot of music. It was a cool experience. Multiple pages of stuff came through for me. And I decided that I'd like to share it as a podcast episode here. So some of this is going to be what I wrote, and some of it will just be, me riffing off of the experience and things like that. So yeah, and today's episode is all about managing the discomfort of not knowing. So before we get into the bulk of the episode, thank you again to anyone who has been listening so far. If you are enjoying the podcast, please do tell your friends about it. Leave a 5-star review, subscribe, and like the videos on YouTube to support the podcast and help me keep it going. So here we go. The discomfort of not knowing. One thing I've noticed as a reader is how uncomfortable people are with not knowing. We want the certainty of knowing everything so badly to feel safe, comfortable, to relieve anxiety. We live in a world where there are not a ton of mysteries in daily life. We can reach for our phone and look anything up, and we can look it up immediately. And of course, that's accelerating with AI, which can summarize tons of information and process tons of information in just a moment. So I think it's really changed our relationship to being in a state of not knowing something. We're just not used to it anymore. So the other day I was scrolling on TikTok, which is something I honestly rarely do. I'm pretty new to TikTok since starting my tarot work, and I only got one to start posting things about tarot in this podcast. And so, of course, I got fed a tarot reader who was doing live readings. And she was basically doing a speed round of yes, no questions. And so if you've been listening to this podcast, you probably know that I really don't like yes or no questions with tarot. Do I think it works for yes or no questions? Yeah, maybe. But I don't really think that's the best use of the cards. And I do think that is sort of giving too much power to the cards in a way. I think there's a way to do it, without doing that. But anyway, so I was watching this live stream, a tarot reader doing yes, no questions quickly. And I was just so fascinated by what people were asking. Someone asked if her daughter's test results would come back normal, which is something she was going to find out in the coming week. I was just like, wait, don't you want to just hear from your doctor? And what difference is it going to make if you hear this now versus 3 days from now? And even if the tarot reader gives you an answer, don't you still have to wait to get the detailed information from the doctor? What's the point? So not to be too harsh on people overall, because I know that they're just looking to ease their mind. I'm sure worrying about your daughter's health, I have 2 daughters, is just super stressful. But there wasn't really a single question asked on that stream that seemed genuinely useful or helpful. Or did I think it would really create any real change in people's lives? And honestly, the whole thing kind of made me a little uncomfortable. This one reader was just holding everyone's fate in her hands. Yes, you'll get pregnant by the end of the year. Your daughter's results won't be normal. This man is not your forever person. But what do you do with that information? Did anyone act differently or go about their situation differently after hearing that, right, than they would have otherwise. So as I was thinking about this, my theory is that getting a quick answer creates just a moment of relief, kind of like a dopamine hit, a temporary relief from not knowing. But how long does it last before the doubt kicks back in? And you just end up waiting to see how things actually play out anyway. So someone asked if their current partner was their forever person, and the reader said definitely not. She had pulled the 10 of Swords. So did she immediately break up with the person? Probably not, right? My guess is that the querent was hoping for a yes, and that the answer from the reader was probably not enough to make her just drop the relationship, which, that's good. We should trust our own intuition more than anything else. And we should always practice free will, right? We have free will. We have to remember that, even though it doesn't always feel like it. Most likely, I'm guessing the person just continues on the relationship until it runs its course, and she'll learn all the important lessons along the way. And even if it doesn't work out, maybe that was a vital experience for her and whatever she came here to do, right? Or figure out. So why ask the question if we aren't going to change? Why ask the question, I don't know, like if there's no intention of changing? So this all made me wonder, by knowing so much more now in general, just because of how far we've come as humans and with our developments, have we actually made ourselves more fearful, more anxious? I kind of think the answer is yes, even though you would think that knowing more would bring us more peace of mind. We no longer have tolerance for not knowing. Long ago, there was so much that was unknown. What the stars were, why the moon changed form, what the weather would be tomorrow, what was going on with a family member halfway across the world, if they were even alive. It's pretty incredible to think about. And I'm glad that we know what we know now. It's in our nature to discover, to explore, to figure out, to evolve and continue to push the boundaries. But even though we are, figuring out more and more, we're understanding more and more, there is just always going to be unknown. There can't not be. Trying to know everything is a fool's errand. See what I did there? And knowing more hasn't necessarily translated to greater peace of mind, I don't think. I think it is extremely important to actively learn and try to tolerate unknowns and maybe even love them. Unknowns, mysteries, they make life so much more magical. How fun is it to find out things we don't know yet? Like how animal migrations are not really understood, meaning we don't have any idea how they actually know where they're going. I found the telepathy tapes, the podcast, really interesting as far as seeing what humans might really be capable of. It makes me excited to live. It's boring to know everything. It's boring. It's boring to know everything. I have a really personal story that I want to share that kind of ties in some of the things I've been talking about. I struggled with really severe depression during my second pregnancy. I ended up in the hospital with a blood clot in my neck during the pregnancy. It was a total freak condition, and I know that I manifested it because I was unhappy and I didn't really feel like living. Then after recovering and actually having my second kid, I found myself having these thoughts like, what else is there? Now I know what it's like to have a career. I had been working at what I thought would be my dream job and it didn't make me happy. I know what it's like to have kids. Right? My kids have brought me great joy, but it's like, oh yeah, I checked that box. What else is there in life? I know it feels insane, and it was depression, but it just felt like there was nothing else to discover, nothing else to do. It was very Four of Cups. Eventually, it was spirituality that brought me back, and I have some really wonderful friends and people in my life, angels really, who helped me get back there. I'd been in a bit of a spirituality drought starting around 2019 when I moved to Seattle and shortly after got pregnant with my first daughter. After my second daughter, that is, I had quit my job due to health and general unhappiness. And I started exploring my inner world again, partially due to my need to heal myself. I was extremely ill after having the blood clot and the infection in my neck. So I was meditating, I was, doing healing work, I was experiencing the mystery of consciousness, connecting to my intuition again, exploring the occult. And it reminded me that there is still so much more. There's so much exciting mystery. There's so much unknown. And instead of anxiety, that gave me great comfort. Reflecting on that whole experience has made me think a lot about how being okay with not knowing can be a comfort. We can live in that place and have it be, some experiences are hard. It doesn't have to be exciting or necessarily positive. But I think that having a greater tolerance for the unknown, or maybe an appreciation for what we don't know, and potentially even joy in some of them, will just make your life more magical, will help with anxiety, will help kind of put things into real context. Like, do you need to know what the tarot reader thinks about your daughter's test results before you actually get the test results? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's helpful. I think it's someone just, ruminating and worrying, which is totally understandable. Totally understandable. So I'd like to suggest to all of you listeners that the tarot be a source of greater mystery and magic and awe, not just a way to find answers or assuage our anxiety. As I've mentioned in earlier episodes, I do think that part of working with the tarot is making meaning of what comes up, but I also can't deny the magic, the impossible odds. The time I talked to a friend about collaborating on a tarot deck and shortly after drew the Three of Pentacles. The time I read for my husband and pulled the Artist card, a unique card in the Ethereal Visions deck, when his identity as an artist was a primary concern. When I reshuffled because I was in denial of the card I pulled and then pulled the very same card. And the mystery of the tarot, like other great mysteries, gives me so much comfort and joy. Do I go to the cards seeking knowledge and clarity? Do I go seeking help? Yeah, totally. But often these days I go for curiosity and fun and to feel connected to the unknown forces in the universe, to see them at play and get that sense of comfort that I haven't explored everything, that I don't know everything, that there's more going on. And it's not scary. It's lovely and beautiful and has incredible design. So on that note, I have a spread for you. And this is my spread for embracing the unknown. So it's just going to be 2 cards. I would say an optional third. I'm exploring how helpful I think it is, but the 2 are the most important. So a spread for the unknown. So card number 1 is what unknown in my life is causing me anxiety. Number 2 is how can I be comfortable with not knowing the outcome right now? And then the optional card, number 3, why is it important that I embrace the unknown in this moment? So grab your cards, shuffle, and pull 3 cards. I pulled for the first card, the High Priestess in reverse. And wow, I mean, yeah, I think the biggest unknown in my life right now is like my career. And I'm hoping to make tarot, Reiki, and other healing work come together for me, but I don't know how. So, wow, I mean, yeah, that's the High Priestess, right? She governs all that kind of stuff, the mysteries, the shadow work, the healing, the unknown. I think it's cool that I pulled the High Priestess for the embracing the unknown, because it's like she's infamous for being silent and not saying much about anything. So it was like, yeah, just, I don't know. It's making me laugh. I don't know how to live as the high priestess yet. I'm getting there. I'm not sure how everything's going to flow together. I want to fully trust and embody that high priestess energy, but it still makes me uncomfortable and I have doubts that everything will work out. The second card, how can I be comfortable with not knowing the outcome right now? And the card I got was the Four of Pentacles. What I'm taking from this card is that I have everything I need. And even though I feel like I need more, like I need career growth, I need more income, I need whatever, in this moment, I am actually completely safe, secure, and actually quite free. The Four of Pentacles asks to unblock the flow of abundance. Clinging to resources is unnecessary. You have everything you need and more. Just go for it. And the solution doesn't have to look like it always has or like you think it should, right? More doesn't need to look like what you think it does. So I think embracing the unknown for me right now is, like really being in that safety of like, even though I desire these things, even though I'm frustrated about some things, I really have everything I need and I'm completely safe right now. I don't let my body be taken into this heightened state of anxiety because I'm maybe like wish things were coming together quicker or, whatever. It's like a grass is greener thing. I wish I was busier. And then when I'm busier, I wish I was less busy. So it's like, no, everything's good right now. And I'm safe and, my nervous system can be calm and relaxed. So that's what I'm taking from Four of Pentacles. Number 3, why is it important that I embrace the unknown in this moment? So this one's interesting. I got the Three of Swords. I had a couple thoughts about that. One is that I'm sort of in a pretty big transition. I feel like I have been for years actually. And there's grief there. And if things go too fast, I think it's going to like make that too difficult. I'm not going to have enough time and space to process the change. I'm sort of still giving up parts of myself that, gave me a lot of joy and helped me a lot in the past. And I'm still working on, putting those down because I don't really feel like I need them anymore. A lot of times the message with this card or the medicine is, what happens if you pull the swords out? Can you allow yourself to heal now? So I think that why is it important that I embrace the unknown in this moment? It just feels like I need more time. It feels like things don't need to be at a fast pace. And I had another thought about the Three of Swords. A lot of times I think of those swords as like thoughts of shame, of regret, that are kind of making the heartbreak worse, right? They're putting those swords into the heart again and again and again. Those thoughts going back thinking, what could I have done? How could I have done it differently? That kind of thing. But I had a new vision of the card or a new understanding of the card where the swords, if we think of like the sword being held by the queen or by justice, the sword is what helps cut away, it helps cut away the BS and helps you see the truth, right? It helps with discernment. So instead of those swords being thoughts of regret or shame, what if they're actually swords of truth? And the truth is causing pain. The truth is causing discomfort. It's causing heartbreak. And often the truth does. And it can be really hard to take on the truth and admit those things to yourself. And again, I feel like that takes time. So I feel like my heart has been, pierced by some pretty serious truths. Some are really exciting. But even if they're good, it's sort of like, it's sort of painful that like maybe I didn't know those things earlier. So there's just different ways that it comes through as heartbreak. Anyway, I accidentally went on a deep dive of Three of Swords there. I think I am seeing value in that third question. Thanks for letting me work it out live on the podcast. So give it a try. 3 questions. What unknown in my life is causing me anxiety? How can I be comfortable with not knowing the outcome right now? And why is it important that I embrace the unknown in this moment? And just adding on that question, it's like, why is it important to sit in the tension of not knowing? Why is it important to just kind of let it be and not be constantly thinking of a solution, of the answer? I think that could be a really powerful spread for anyone who's just having trouble with not knowing where something is headed, a difficult situation where you wish you knew answers. Maybe you're in a transition, you're not sure how things are going to look in the near future. Anything like that, embracing the unknown. Yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I think it's going to be a useful spread for people. All right, so thank you so much for listening. Let me know how sitting in the discomfort of the unknown or of not knowing goes for you this week. Good luck. It's not easy, but it's important and it's just a part of life. So we might as well embrace it, right? If you're interested in a reading with me, summer solstice is coming up. Such a great time for a reading. You can book readings with me on my website, which is mariofthewoods.com. That's Mari for Mari. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Mari of the Woods. Feel free to email me with any questions or suggestions for the podcast at info@mariofthewoods.com. The artwork, music, and editing for this podcast is done by me, Mari. Until next week, happy wondering.